made this e-commerce brand $125,623 in a single day with Google Ads alone at a 10.12x ROAS. And in this video, I want to break down the exact strategy on how we made this level of scale happen for this brand so you can replicate a similar strategy for your own brand. Now, just a disclaimer, this kind of scale did happen on Black Friday, specifically November 29th, and there were a lot of things we did related to this special occasion which caused this level of results. Overall, this brand is a highly successful brand. If we're just going over to their Google Ads dashboard and maybe change the time frame from just November 29th to just the last 30 days alone, we can see that overall this brand is extremely successful and has no less than a 7-figure month every single month. So it does about $1.1 to $1.5 million in revenue from Google Ads alone. Looking at their Shopify store on November 29th, they did $211,000 in revenue, where 50% of it almost was from Google Ads. So this brand is highly reliant on proper Google Ads traffic. But let's go a little bit more deeper into the numbers so we can understand how this brand actually performs. So this is a fairly mid-ticket to high-ticket e-commerce brand. It's in the automotive niche, selling a lot of car parts, accessories, so on and so forth. And if we go ahead and look at the average order value for this brand, we can see that overall it's more in the mid-ticket range, $296. However, this brand does sell a lot of high-ticket products as well. And the beauty about this brand is the break-even ROAS is roughly a 7x for this brand, just because they have a very big factory within the United States. They store all of these stock products within their factory, and as a result, they have fairly high standards when it comes to the return on ad spend. But regardless of the break-even, we were able to achieve a 9.6x ROAS in the last 30 days alone. And just on November 29th, we only spent about $6,000 on that day to make back $121,000 in total revenue that's attributed to Google Ads. Now, one of the biggest reasons why this level of scale was even possible for this brand has to do with the landing page strategy. First thing that we did is we actually introduced cashback offers. Now, if I go on over to a specific product page on this brand, what I mean by cashback offers is if you look right here, we can see it says holiday offer, 10% cash back. Get 10% cash back on all X product. This is basically a brand for which this product sells. But basically the cashback amount is displayed here, and it tells you that after purchase, you'll receive an email with a code to use this $18 cashback. I don't know about you, but this is a very interesting and very unique approach. I've barely seen any brands do this, and this is one of the major reasons why this brand really scaled during that specific day, which was November 29th, which is because a lot of customers saw this cashback opportunity as a way to now purchase even more and more products. They were already in the buying intent, and this cashback offer only made their buying intent stronger. So they really wanted to use cashback. What we noticed on the back end is a lot of these customers started to purchase a lot of newer products, a lot of extra products, simply by looking at the upsells right here at the bottom, as well as just scrolling through the website just so they could get more cash back, just so then they could use this cash back to purchase even more products. So this is one of the hidden strategies which not only should be used during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but should be consistently used throughout the months and years, simply because cashback is one of the best ways to stand out from your competition. But that's not the only thing. The second thing that they did, and this is not directly on the landing page, but rather when you land on the home page or when you're about to exit, is they had an exit intent pop-up popping up essentially right when somebody wanted to exit their website, which said if they left their email, they had the opportunity to win a specific product for free. In this situation, they were actually giving away a car. And this might sound crazy, but with the amount of revenue this brand does every single month, they could potentially give away cars every month and still be extremely profitable. But of course, that landing page strategy has to tie into a properly set up Google Ads strategy. Otherwise, none of these things work. And in terms of Google Ads, what we did on that given day, but in general as well, is we kind of made this brand more of a performance max and shopping heavy approach. And this is simply because what we noticed after testing and spending over 6 figures within this brand is a lot of these specific campaigns, they were simply money pits for this brand. Now, a big disclaimer, just because it's a money pit for this brand doesn't mean it's going to also be a money pit for your brand. In fact, we have a lot of clients under my agency, Your Marketing, where they actually do very well with YouTube, with demand gen, with display. But if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But essentially, what we did is we basically had only 2 major campaigns for testing purposes. And the campaigns that we left for testing were actually competing side by side before Google's new update, which basically said a Performance Max campaign and a standard shopping campaign can now run side by side without competing, and the one with the higher ad rank will be the one that wins the auction. So technically, you will no longer be competing with each other. But essentially, it was this Performance Max campaign right here, and it was this standard shopping campaign. The reason why we implemented this testing approach is because we wanted to see what this brand performs the best with. And here are my findings. First thing I found is Performance Max always leads to more revenue, always leads to more ad spend. If we look right here, this campaign barely spent $8,000, where this one almost spent 5 times more, $46,000 in revenue. And while we look at the ROAS, we can see that the ROAS is slightly lower for the PMax and it's slightly higher for the standard shopping. However, because there's such a big revenue difference, this sort of makes up for the difference in terms of the ad spend. And that's why Performance Max is generally a better kind of opportunity in terms of scaling, at least for this brand. Your brand might perform a bit differently, but that's essentially what we noticed. And all the products which we found which were winning from these Performance Max campaigns as well as standard shopping, then we created basically standalone collection-based campaigns for these other product collections. And it was a mixture of Performance Max campaigns along with standard shopping. And here's how we were able to actually understand if a given best-selling product should go into a Performance Max campaign for scaling, or if it should rather be placed in a standard shopping for scaling. Essentially, whatever was working from this Performance Max campaign, we launched more Performance Max campaigns to test those collections around and scale those products and collections with it. So whatever products were in the PMax, they were scaled with another PMax. Whatever products did well with the standard shopping, we then implemented different standard shopping approaches for just those collections that did well in the standard shopping campaigns. This is because we noticed if you are to place a best-selling product that's doing well in the standard shopping within the PMax or vice versa, in most situations, it doesn't perform as good as you would want it, which is why we stuck to the campaign types which were actually working and which were actually providing results. But that was the main scaling approach which really took this brand to the next level on that day alone, but also in general is what works for this brand. However, there's one specific strategy which I always recommend all e-commerce brands try doing, and this is the occasion-based scaling approach. Essentially, what you want to do is you want to launch maybe a standard shopping approach at high budget based around landing pages for close-out products. Essentially, what this means is you want to have a landing page where there's a timer ticking, essentially saying that that product is going to be sold out very soon, or that product will only be sold until the timer is up. As soon as the timer runs out, you stop selling that product, essentially. This is what I call a close-out product. And what you want to do is you want to basically run that kind of campaign on that given occasion, only on that given day, which is what we did. If we go back to November 29th, we can see that this campaign was active, which was a standard shopping campaign, and it provided some very decent results. So the campaign which I am referring to is this one right here, and it is also this one right here. Right now it's paused because after that given occasion, we generally like to pause these kinds of campaigns. However, you can see on that day it generated 11x ROAS, roughly $16,000 in revenue. Other campaign types also did fairly well, but essentially one of the biggest kind of structures which has worked for this brand, not only on that day to scale to this level of revenue, but in general, is the 80-20 rule, where 80% of our budgets always go towards cold traffic, 20% goes towards branded search or retargeting. That's exactly what was happening during this time. We spent roughly $8,300 on November 29th, and about 80% of that went towards just cold traffic campaigns, whereas the rest, with a lot of these campaigns on the lower end, was just retargeting only or branded search only. This ideal kind of layout between cold traffic versus retargeting is what scales any brand, not only on a given occasion, but just in general. But again, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level with strategies like these. Go on to my website at yourmarketing.com, schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video next on the top 5 Performance Max campaign strategies which you should be using in 2025 and onwards to scale your brand.